Hello and good morning. Just a few things. If you have your $5 math fee in middle of class, raise your hand and I'll mark it. Those of you, in fact, all of you, if you haven't already put your phone on the wall, do so now before I mark some points off. Also, homework is due on Friday. That includes your worksheets from last week and the syllabus signed. The syllabus is on Canvas. There might be a copy over there by the pencil sharpener underneath those folders, okay? All right, let's talk about this. First of all, you want to fold your paper into three parts. Let's take a look. So this is a whole sheet of computer paper and I folded it here and here. So I put two creases on it and this is week one. So right now you want to put a heading, put week number one, put a name, a date, and a period, and put today's date is August 15th, and we're going to call this week one. Okay, so all your work goes right here. Let's take a look here. When you add fractions, you have to have the same denominator. So you cannot add these until your denominators are the same. Well, you got to figure out your least common denominator. Well, it's 6, but if you didn't know it's 6, you take the biggest number, write this down, you take the biggest number, which is 3, and you ask yourself, does 2 go into 3? Well, the answer is no. Double it. 6. Does 2 go into 6? Yes. That's your least common denominator. So what you want to do here, and I'm looking for a different color, what you want to do is multiply 3 times 2 to make that 6. But if you multiply the bottom by 2, you have to do the top. And on this one, 2 times 3 is 6. And if you multiply the bottom by 3, you have to multiply the top to keep it the same as it was. So you're going to get 4 over 6 plus 3 over 6. Now you have the same denominator. So you can add this up. You get 7. 7 over 6. 6 goes into 7 one time with 1 left over. So either one of these answers is 5. Make sure you know how to add fractions. Let's take a look at this one. This one you're subtracting a fraction from a whole number, so you borrow 1 from this, and it becomes 5. But the 1 you borrow, you're going to change to whatever your denominator is. If this was an 8, I would put 8 over 8. But since it's a 5, I'm going to say 5 over 5 minus 4 over 5. And so what I'm going to get is 5 minus, there's no whole number here, so it's going to be 5. And then 5 minus 4 is 1. And that's your answer, and that's how you subtract. Let's talk about today's work. Put away your bell work. Copy this one down. We're going to actually work in the books or those little packets they gave us. Find the average. To find the average, you add them up. So put average, and you may already know this. You're going to add them up, and then you're going to divide by the number of numbers you have. So I'm going to add this up. I get 10, 14, 15, 16. So I get 16 divided by 4. There's 4 numbers. So 4 goes into 16 4 times. So the average is 4. That's it. Another name for average is mean. All right, the next one. Find the median. Well, for the median, you're going to add them or you're going to place them in order. So you're going to put the highest one here, the next to highest, in order, from high to low, and you're going to pick the one in the middle. Well, there's not one in the middle. So you're going to add these up, and you get 7, and then divide by 2. So 7 divided by 2 is 3.5. So the median is 3.5. Okay? If you have a calculator, you can use it. Again, your phone is supposed to be on the wall. Do not use your phone. If I see it, it's a warning. Next time I see it, it comes on my desk all day or goes to the office. All right, the next one. Frequency. This one is telling you have 3 of these. So you're going to write 24 3 times, and then you have 2 sevens. Okay? And that's how you do that. Now, one thing about the average, let's say your numbers are 2, 4, 4, 8, and 5. Copy that down. But let's say you have a number of 100. So you got all your numbers together here, and then you have 100 way over here. So the average would not be good because this is a skew. This is called an outlier. And so the average would not be a good representation of these numbers. So you would use the median. The median is not affected by an outlier, but the average is. Okay, copy that down. Now, when you do your work today, if you get stuck, I want you to ask. Today's work is right here. And I do want you to copy the problem unless it's a word problem. But you do have to show some work. So I should see some work, and then I should see your answer. Okay, so put your heading. Here's today's work. Let's turn our attention now to the next class, which is college algebra. Okay, so copy down everything you see right here. All right, so the real numbers right here represent rational numbers. And rational numbers use the letter Q. And then irrational numbers use IR. Okay, so real numbers are all numbers, both of these. Whole numbers start with 0. Natural numbers do not have 0, they start with 1. So no 0 on this one. Okay, and then you have integers, which I forgot. So integers would be the number line. So it'd be all your negative numbers, and then all your positive numbers to infinity. Infinity is a sidewards 8. Irrational numbers are things like pi that go on forever and do not repeat. Okay? In fact, we want to write that down. So put irrational number goes on forever and no repeat. A rational number up here, Q, repeats or terminates. That means stops. Okay, so if it repeats or stops, it's rational. Another example of an irrational number would be the square root of 5. It's not perfect. So if you take a calculator, you'll see it goes on forever. It's going to be 2 point, and it goes on forever, and it doesn't repeat. Classify these numbers. Well, this right here is a real number. In fact, all of these are real numbers. Okay, so we're going to put A. They're all real numbers. 7 is a whole number. It's a natural number, and it's an integer. 1/3. Let's go to that one. It's a real number. Okay? Everything's a real number. And 1/3 is, well, it's not a whole number because it's written as a fraction. And it's not a natural number because it's a fraction. and it's not an integer. It's in between. So it's just a rational number. And then finally, this last one is a real number, and it's irrational because it's not perfect. If you do it on your calculator, it goes on forever and doesn't repeat. All right, the next one, copy these down. So we're going to plot these. Here's a number line. Here's 0. 2 goes into 5 2 times with 1 left over. So it's 2.5. So 1, 2, 3, so 2.5 is right here. Copy that down. 1.6, this is called the 10th place. So it's going to be a -1 and 6 out of 10. So here's -1. Now to get this, you're going to divide this into 10 pieces, but you're going to use 9 marks. Okay, and it's not quite right because it should be 10 pieces in there, and you should keep 6. So it's about right here. It's a little more than half. And then finally, 3/4, that's a negative. So you're going to break up, and I need a new number line for that one. Let's say this is 0 and this is -1. You're going to break this into 4 pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces. So a -3/4 would be right here. And that's how you graph it. This one says order it. So you get your calculator, you take 1 divided by 4 is 0.25. 1 divided by 3 is 0.3 repeating, and then you start comparing. 2 is smaller than 3. So 1/4 is smaller than 1/3. Okay? Now visually, if you take a candy bar, 2 of them, and you break it into 3 pieces, and this one you break into 4 pieces, you can see that 1/4 is smaller than 1/3. See, 1/3 is bigger because you're only breaking it into 3 pieces and not 4 pieces. Okay, this one right here, you see the little line under here? That means it's included. So you would put a bracket. A bracket means included. So it's going to be in between -2 and 7. And 7 is not equal to, so you use parentheses. Now you might have to do some reading on this. If you see the little equal sign like this one, then you use the bracket. If you don't see an equal sign like this one, you use parentheses. And then finally, absolute value. Last thing we're going to talk about, copy those. Absolute value is always positive. So this one is a +7. This one is a +7, but you have a negative on the outside. And those are your answers. Here's your assignment for today. Make sure you copy the problems, make sure you have a heading, and make sure you show work. If you only give me answers, you will not receive credit. All right, have a good morning.